What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Money Moves with Kay. I am Kay, and today I'm going to give you 5 tips to buy a cheap tax auction property if you are a beginner. So you need to know some of the ins and outs of tax auction investing. And this video is for you if you're a beginner. If you're not a beginner and you're way advanced, you know everything about tax auctions, this is not the video for you. Without further ado, let's get started. So the very first thing I want to tell you is to you should identify if the state that you're interested in is a tax lien state, deed state, or redeemable tax deed state. That's a mouthful. Tax lien states typically have a redemption period. Within that redemption period, the owner can redeem the property. Okay, they will have to pay the taxes that were paid at auction. They also have to pay an interest, right? There's an interest rate that each and every investor, if you are purchasing these properties, the investor pays some interest as well as whatever was owed at the tax auction. For tax deed states, after the auction is over, you claim your property, which is where I like to invest. I like to invest in tax deed states because after the auction, the property is mine. Now, it does depend on where you're located. In North Carolina, just as an example, because I've purchased land in North Carolina, whether it be land or an actual home, after the tax auction is done, and by the way, North Carolina is a tax deed state. After the tax auction is done, there is still a 10-day redemption period. They call it an upset bid period time, right? So upset bid, somebody can come in and say, hey, I like this property. I saw it in the paper. I'm also interested in this property, and they can outbid you. Okay, so it does vary depending on what state you're in. There's also a third tier to this, or a third type of state. And that third type of state are redeemable tax deed states. Now, in a redeemable tax deed state, you have a little bit of both, right? So you will receive the deed. However, there is a redemption period. So it's a little bit of both, okay? The redemption period, such as in Georgia, right? So Georgia, Texas, and a few other states are redeemable tax deed states. But as an example, in Georgia, I do believe the redemption period is a year from what I remember, because I have studied Georgia quite a bit, okay? So keep that in mind. You need to identify if the state you're interested in is a tax lien state, tax deed state, or a redeemable tax deed state, which again encompasses a little bit of both, okay? Both the tax lien and tax deed states. All right, number 2, what I want to mention to you is you need to know about the calendar. What is going on in the state that you're interested in? Is the auction online? Is it in person? Those are 2 different things, right? So you need to identify when is the actual auction. Is it in October, November, December? And this is a great website that I give to my students in my tax auction course. And what you can do is you can search. So let's go to Oregon. You can search any state. Okay, they don't have any. Yes, they do. October, they have some upcoming sales. They have some sheriff sales, okay? You can check anywhere. Utah, let's check Texas. Same thing for Texas. You can check Texas. Any state you can check and see what what the calendar is looking like for that particular state, so that you know and you're informed when the auction is happening. And it also breaks it down by county, which is fantastic because you need to know what county is offering what, okay? So tip number 2, identify the calendar and when these actual auctions are happening, as well as know if they're online or in person. Going on to number 3. The number 3 thing that you need to keep in mind is, now this is Richland County, by the way, this is South Carolina. This is a parcel map, okay? I show my students in the tax auction course how to pull up the parcel number. What is a parcel number? How to pull up this so you can find it in pretty much each and every state, okay? So these outline in green. First of all, there's a legend here that says 1 year overdue, 2 years, and it goes all the way up to 5 years. So these in green are, and I'm not going to hover over it because it gives the address. This is an auction that is in November, I do believe, like November 4th. So this may be of interest to me as well. or you. So hopefully either way you can participate, but you need to know how to enter the game. So here you can see that this is an example of a piece of land or property. I don't know if it's land or property. They have some taxes due. They're 1 year overdue because it's in green. What you need to keep in mind is due diligence. That's the third tip. You need to identify your due diligence, meaning, and I had somebody in the comments ask me, what is due diligence? So let me break that down. Let's take it back to the very basic level. What is due diligence? Due diligence, I like to put it in the most simplest term as like you doing research on a property, very thorough research on a property in order to see if it's a good fit for you and also to see if it's a good purchase for you, because you don't want to wait 2-3 years from now after you purchase the property and then regret it, right? So doing your due diligence up front, just like you do due diligence if you buy a used car. You're not just going to go blindly and say, okay, it's got 100,000 miles. Okay, you want $3,000? Done. No, you're going to open your eyes, have a mechanic come potentially look it over, see what are the pros and cons of purchasing that car. Everything about the car you want to know before you spend your hard-earned money on that car. The same thing applies to purchasing a property, okay? You need to know about the zoning. You need to know about flood zones. Is it in a flood zone? Is that why it's so cheap, right? And you need to identify something I talk about in my course as well is I talk about soil. I'm kind of a land nerd in a way because I do like soil, meaning I like to talk about like, you need to identify, and I'm gonna tell you why it's important. You need to identify what type of soil that you have if you have a home and also just land, right? Because there could be a day where you want to build on that land. So let's give an example. Let's say that you purchase one of these parcels and it's a piece of land. And you purchase it for $500 and you have a great idea, right? You have a great idea to build a multi-unit on that piece of land. Well, because I've tried this before and I know this for sure, you need to identify what type of soil there is because first of all, you may want a septic or a sewer system, not sewer, but you want a septic on the property or it might go to the public sewer system. There are variations of that. And the absorption, does it perk, right? You need to know if the land perks. You need to identify the type of soil also, because if it's not good soil, and I won't go into detail about soil because not everybody's interested, I am. But if it's not good soil and you're trying to build a multi-unit or like apartments on that soil, it may not hold correctly, right? And you may need a geotech to come out to observe the soil. That's extra money. And it goes on and on. So I'm not going to keep going down that path of soil talk, but it's very important, right? So these are all ways, and there are many more things that you need to have. I have a checklist in my course as well that identifies like what you should be looking for, whether it's land or an actual property. But these are good things you need to identify and know about before you purchase a property. Just because it's cheap does not mean it's a good property for you and what you're trying to do with the property. Which this is maybe a gem too. You need to know your exit strategy. Are you purchasing these properties just to resell them? Are you purchasing these properties because you want to build on a piece of land or you want to live in the home yourself? What is your exit strategy? What are you trying to do? What is your goal, I should say, with these properties, okay? And that was number 3. Number 4 tip. The number 4 tip I want to give to you is to identify the comps. So you need to identify what the property is actually worth. This is very important because, again, let's go back to our example. If you purchase a piece of land or home, let's say for $500, which, yes, by the way, if you're a first-time viewer of my channel, you may not even know this, but there are a ton of mobile homes and properties that you can get for under $1,000. You just have to know where to look. Those videos are all across my channel, so there's not a specific one I can point you to, but I will say if you binge watch my content, you will see, wow, there are opportunities for me to really get a good deal. But back to this. If you purchase a property for $500, as my example, and no, let's make it $10,000. Let's say you purchase a home for $10,000 on a tax auction website, right? You did some online bidding and you purchased the home for $10,000, $10K. So you need to know the comps. I'll break down what a comp is in just a second. You need to know the comps in the area to identify what that property is worth. So hence comps. Comps means comparable, which identifies how much the property is worth. Because if you purchase a property for $10,000, but it's only worth $5,000, you may have wasted your money, but you may not have, depending on what you want to do with the land or the home. So your intentions with the property, they do matter, but you need to know the value of the land. And I talk about this extensively in the course as well. And I'm a real estate appraiser trainee, which basically, simple terms, means that I did all the coursework in order to be an appraiser. I really just did it for comprehensive knowledge for myself as a real estate investor, so I know how to better value a home, a piece of land, etc. Okay, so that's my fourth tip that I wanted to give you today. The fifth tip I want to give you is straight from my course. Okay, so this says, and I highlighted something, but it says you've won the bid, now what? So the fifth tip I want to give to you is to know and have great knowledge about what a quitclaim deed is. I'll explain. And also what to do after you have won the bid. So let's say you won the home, right? You bid on the property. It was in a tax deed state. You received the property not too long after that. And even if it was in a tax lien state, you can still know this process. Knowing this process does help regardless of what type of state it is in, okay? So let's just give an example. Let's say you won the bid for a home for $10,000 in a tax deed state. Now what? What do you do with that property? Okay. Well, you can do a couple things, but you need to identify what type of deed do you have, excuse me. So you will get a quitclaim deed. So it says here, a quitclaim deed is a legal document that transfers a property without any warranties or guarantees of ownership. They differ from a general warranty deed or a special warranty deed because it offers less assurance that the property is free and clear. More importantly, it's harder to get insured. Okay, so if you get a quitclaim deed, it is harder to insure the property. All right. Governmental agencies use this type of deed because it's quicker to do and they want to free themselves of any liability with the property. As a result, people deem this type of deed to be cloudy. What does that mean? It's cloudy. It has something hanging over it. Okay, it's something there. All right, keep that in mind. That's a little visual for you. So governmental agencies here, I'm referring to the governmental agency of that county. So if it's Miami-Dade County, that's the governmental agency I'm talking about because they are selling that tax deed, right? Or that property via tax auction. All right. So keep that in mind. You will receive a quitclaim deed, which is not as marketable. It's really hard to market, but it's possible. Not as marketable as a warranty deed, right? Just a regular deed of a home. Why? Because again, it doesn't come with insurance and it's harder to insure it. So you say, Kay, so what do I do? That's what I discuss in my course. Make sure you check out the course, guys. It's a very helpful course. It has a lot of information. It has a lot of resources for you that will help you along the way in order to start this process because the year is almost up, guys. 2025 is pretty much donesy. It's donezo. 2025 is pretty much over. So keep that in mind. Like, what could you do now in order to propel yourself for these next couple months, coasting into 2026 so that you can get in the game? If you're sitting on the sidelines, then you're just watching each and every video. In fact, if you've watched every single one of my videos and you still have not purchased a tax auction property, or you're still waiting for this magical moment of having enough funds or enough whatever, and I do understand funding does, that takes precedence. You need the money in order to invest. I've even given you videos on how to purchase these properties with a credit card. I don't necessarily advise that if you're in financial trouble. Keep that in mind. Maybe you're waiting for the right time, but don't have analysis paralysis, okay? Which means you analyze, you look at my videos, you give me a thumbs up, you say the key word at the end, but you still haven't purchased a home. You still haven't purchased a piece of land. That's my purpose for this channel, is to help you propel. Is to help you be a homeowner or a property owner. It could be land. It could be any property out there. I really want you to have ownership. That's where the power resides, okay? So let's do that. In the comment section, if you made it this far in the video, I want you to comment below, ownership. It allows me to know you made it this far. And guys, we have to close out 2025 with a bang. The tax auction course is in the pinned comments and also in the description. That's one way you can finish out this year with a bang so that you get the information that you need to invest. Until next time, guys, you stay blessed. Peace.